to chapter 13 now, where we're going to write the 12 Days of Christmas. It's not a song that I like, but it's interesting to me because we have to count up and down. So in the 99 bottles of beer, we started at a given number, like 20, and we had to count down to one bottle of beer. Here we need to count both up and down. So given the number 3, for instance, we're going to start on the first day of Christmas and then sing up to the third day of Christmas. But then inside of each verse, we have to count back down to reiterate all the gifts that were created before. So if we run the solution, for instance, with -n3, it starts on the first day and then sings the second day, which recapitulates the first day. And then it goes to the third day, which recapitulates the second and the third. So I find that kind of interesting. I thought this could make for a fun program. One other thing is that we'll get a little more practice with writing output either to standard out or to an output file. So for instance, if I run the solution with an output file of song.txt, then there's no output on the command line. And if I were to count the song, song.txt, I see there's 113 lines there. I can use less to look at that. And I can see it sings the whole song all the way to the end. So how can we get started on this? Let me pull up my editor here. I go into the program, the GitHub repository here. I'm going to go into the 12 Days of Christmas directory, and I'm going to run new py, and it needs to be called 12 days.py. Okay, so we have our new program. I'm going to open, open that up. And let's look at some of the, we need to take 2 options. So we have, we're going to change the purpose here to 12 days of Christmas. Let's make this look a little better. Paste that in. We do not need a positional argument. We're going to need an integer argument, which is the number of days. Let's see, what is the long flag? It's going to be num, and the metavar is going to be days. This is going to be the number of days. And the default is going to be, actually I can't remember, what is the default? Default is going to be 12. We're going to sing the whole song. And then the other thing is going to be an output file. So I can make this one O because it's just going to be a string. Is it out file? Yes, it's going to be out file. The help should be output file name, and I'll say file here. It's going to be a string, and by default it's going to be nothing. The empty string is fine. You could also make it none. Either of those will be fine. Let's see. Actually, I think it actually makes sense to make this a file type, so that if it is provided, then it has to be a writable file. So we're going to change that to write text. And if it's not provided, then it will be nothing. That should be good. And I will get rid of these arguments. And then I always, I like to just start off by printing something. I'm going to see, just print here, print args.num. And let's see what we have. Do we have a working program? Okay. So apparently we should not use argparse file type for that. We'll just make that a string, and we'll handle that if it is a file. This is what happens when you haven't run your own program in a while. Okay, so I have 12 days. It defaults to 12. And if there is an output file name, we'll deal with that in a little bit. So that's how we're going to get started. We can look here at the string diagram. So given some number in an output file, we'll create this terrible song. Dash dash num, we'll just sing just the first one. Dash dash num with the dash dash out file. We'll put that same text into a file with that given name. So that's how it's going to work. The last thing is, let's check to make sure that we're not given a value that we can't sing. So for instance, if we run this right now with the value 21, it's going to just accept that. So before we leave off here, let's change this here. So we're gonna intercept the args. I'm gonna go ahead and return the args because we don't want to forget to do that. And I'm gonna say if it's not true that this is greater than or equal to 1, args.num, and it needs to be less than or equal to 12. If it's not in that range, then we want to use parser error, and we're going to say, let's say it's going to be an F string. We're going to say dash dash num. I always like to echo back what is the offending value. Let's see, what's the error? Must be between 1 and 12. Must be between 1 and 12. Let's make sure that works. Okay, let's just run test and see how we're doing so far. Okay, so it passes. My tests are always written in the same order. I make sure the program exists. I make sure it responds to usage. And then I usually pass in bad values for all the options. Here I passed in a bad number, and I ensure that it has passed there. So now it is failing on 1. On the first day of Christmas, our program right now prints 1, and it says what it expects to see is on the first day of Christmas, the basic verse. So that's where we're going to start in the next video.